You know that girl who acts like she's totally cool around you? The one who seems casual, maybe even a little distant sometimes? Yeah, she might be falling harder than you think. Women are actually terrible at hiding when they're catching feelings. We just express it in ways that fly completely under most guys' radar. Today, I'm breaking down the 9 psychological tells that reveal when a woman is emotionally invested, even when she's trying her best to play it cool. Let's start with something that happens constantly but gets overlooked every single time. Her guard drops, then she pulls it back up. You'll be talking, and suddenly she opens up about something personal. Maybe her family drama or that thing she's insecure about. But then almost immediately, she'll laugh it off or change the subject completely. It's like she caught herself being too vulnerable and hit the emergency brake. This push and pull isn't random. According to attachment theory, when we start developing feelings for someone, our brain creates this internal conflict between wanting to bond and protecting ourselves from potential rejection. She's literally fighting her own psychological programming. The fact that she's sharing these moments of vulnerability, even briefly, means you've already made it past her initial defenses. Most guys miss this because they focus on the pullback instead of recognizing that the initial openness was the real signal. 2. She remembers the smallest things about you. This one's huge. She brings up that random story you told 3 weeks ago about your weird coworker. She references a joke you made in passing. She remembers you don't like mushrooms on pizza. These aren't accidents. When we're emotionally invested in someone, our brains automatically start cataloging information about them. It's called selective attention. We literally notice and retain more details about people who matter to us. She's not trying to be a detective. Her mind is subconsciously treating you as important enough to remember. If she's bringing up these tiny details later, it means she's been thinking about you way more than she's letting on. 3. She tries to sound cooler than she is around you. Pay attention to how she talks about her interests when you're around. Suddenly, she's really into that band you mentioned, or she's acting like she watches way more sports than she actually does. Her sense of humor might shift to match yours, but it feels slightly off. This isn't her being fake. It's psychological mirroring, and it happens when we're trying to create connection with someone we're attracted to. She's subconsciously trying to build common ground because she wants to be part of your world. The slight awkwardness of it is actually what makes it authentic. If she was just being polite, she wouldn't be trying so hard to align with your interests. 4. She finds excuses to be near you. She lingers after group conversations end. She sends you memes that are honestly not that funny. She shows up at places where she knows you'll be, calling it a coincidence. She's creating opportunities for interaction, and it's not accidental. Proximity seeking is a fundamental human behavior when we're attracted to someone. Studies show that we naturally gravitate toward people we have feelings for, both physically and digitally. She might play it casual, but her instincts are pulling her closer. The key is frequency. If she's consistently finding reasons to be in your space, that's her emotional investment showing. And listen, the next sign? It's the one most guys ignore until it's too late. But first, hold up, real quick. If you've ever been blindsided by mixed signals or missed your shot because you couldn't read her, this is for you. There's a powerful guide called 25 Forbidden Signals She's Secretly Into You. It's a $7 download, less than lunch, and it shows you the exact cues women give off when they're into you, but trying not to show it. You'll learn how to spot the signs, even when she's trying to keep them buried. It's blunt, practical, and designed for guys who've been around the block and are tired of guessing. Click the link below, grab it for $7, and start seeing what most men never do. All right, back to the countdown. 5. She gets jealous, but downplays it. This one's subtle but telling. She makes a comment about that girl you were talking to, then immediately laughs it off like she's joking. Or she casually asks who else you've been hanging out with lately. She's probing but trying to make it seem like she doesn't really care about the answer. Jealousy is one of those emotions that's almost impossible to completely hide when you're emotionally attached to someone. It's evolutionary. Our brains are wired to protect relationships we value. The fact that she's trying to downplay it makes it even more obvious. If she truly didn't care, she wouldn't bring it up at all. 6. Her body language says yes, but her words stay neutral. Watch her when you're talking. She's leaning in, exposing her neck or wrists, touching her hair, maintaining eye contact. But verbally, she's keeping things surface level. Her body is betraying what her words are trying to hide. Nonverbal communication often reveals our true feelings before we're consciously aware of them. These unconscious signals, the way she positions herself, how she mirrors your movements, the subtle ways she makes herself appear more attractive, they're all indicators of interest that happen below the level of conscious control. Her mouth might say whatever, but her body is screaming that she's invested. 7. She tests you emotionally. She challenges you on things, teases you about your choices, maybe even creates a little friction just to see how you'll react. This isn't her being difficult. It's her subconsciously evaluating whether you're emotionally stable enough to handle her feelings. When women start developing deeper feelings, we instinctively begin testing emotional compatibility. It's a psychological safety mechanism. She's not consciously thinking, "Let me test this guy," but part of her brain is asking, "Can I trust him with my emotions? Will he stay calm under pressure?" These tests actually increase when she's getting more emotionally involved because the stakes feel higher. She asks about the future, but indirectly. She casually asks if you'd ever want to move to a different city, whether you like kids, if you see yourself settling down eventually. But she frames it all hypothetically, like she's just making conversation. This is her way of gathering intel without revealing her hand. When we're starting to fall for someone, we naturally begin evaluating long-term compatibility. She's not just curious about your thoughts on these topics, she's filtering. She's trying to figure out if a future she's starting to imagine could actually work. The indirect approach is her way of protecting herself while still getting the information she needs. 9. Her emotional reactions are bigger than they should be. You're 15 minutes late, and she's colder than the situation warrants. You compliment her outfit, and she lights up like you just told her she won the lottery. Her emotional responses to things involving you are amplified. When we're emotionally invested in someone, our reactions to their behavior become disproportionate to the actual situation. This happens because she's reading more meaning into your actions than she would with someone she was indifferent about. Your lateness isn't just an inconvenience. It feels like a signal about how much you care. Your compliment isn't just nice. It's validation from someone whose opinion suddenly matters way more than it should. The bigger her emotional swings in response to your behavior, the more her heart is invested, even if she's trying to convince herself otherwise. Look, I know some of you are probably thinking about that one girl right now, connecting these dots. If you want to understand more about the subtle psychology behind how women really think and feel in these situations, hit that subscribe button. There's so much more we need to talk about, and I'm just getting started with the stuff most people never pay attention to.